Hey everybody, Mr. Remote here. So today we're going to look at graphing a quadratic in standard form. So right here I have for you the standard form of a quadratic. Y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So the first thing we're actually going to learn is how to find the vertex when it's in this form. So the vertex, if we're talking about a parabola, the vertex is that point where it's either changing from decreasing to increasing or increasing to decreasing. So when it's in this form, the x value of the vertex is going to be the opposite of b over 2a. Okay, and you'll just take it right away, right from the equation, substitute them in, you'll get your x value. Once you have your x value, then you'll substitute that number in to find your y value. Okay, because remember the vertex is this specific coordinate point, xy, right? So let's do an example that we'll then graph later. So y equals 2x squared plus 4x plus 3. So here, where did we go? There we go. Here we go. Let's do this. So we're going to do opposite of b over 2 times a, so 2 times 2, and that's what the x coordinate is. So negative 4 over 4 ends up being negative 1. So there's the x coordinate. Now to find the y coordinate, we substitute that in. Okay, so you don't just give me negative 1 because that's only the x coordinate, that's not the y coordinate. All right. So that's going to be 1 times 2, which is 2. That's going to be negative 4 plus 3. 2 plus negative 4 is negative 2, plus 3 is 1. So the vertex ends up at negative 1, 1. Okay. Now this actually tells us a few things. So obviously it tells us the vertex. So when we get to the graph, that's going to be probably one of the most important points. The other thing this tells us, and this is going with the x value, is you have this symmetry. If we take this example that's up here, there's this line of symmetry right here. I tried to do data, but you couldn't really see it. That when you fold this parabola in half, it ends up being the same on both sides. So it has that symmetry. So the x coordinate is what kind of tells us where our symmetry is. So the axis of symmetry, or the line of symmetry, you'll see it written both ways, of symmetry, is always going to be x equals, and then whatever this x coordinate is. So x equals negative 1. And it's this line. That's why it's a line, or you can think of it as an axis, right? So x equals negative 1 is that line of symmetry, and that's going to help us also when we get to graphing. All right, so let's go ahead and graph this one that we've kind of already been doing all this work with. So the first thing you always want to do with graphing is find the vertex. Hey, look at that, we've done it for this problem. So let me just make some tick marks here. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So let's go ahead and plot this first one. So it's negative 1, 1. This is the vertex. All right. So then we want to find another point somewhere that's going to be on our graph. And then once we have that point, we know there's going to be a symmetric point on the other side of this axis of symmetry. So this is where the axis of symmetry really comes into play. So it makes graphing so much easier. We have to do half the work because we know what's ever over here is going to also be over here. All right. So depending on where our vertex is, usually the easiest point to find is going to be the y-intercept. So if we substitute 0 in, 2 times 0 plus 0 plus 3 is going to be up here at 3. Okay, And then all you have to do is you're going to have another point at 3 that's exactly the same amount of distance away from this axis of symmetry. So we're 1 away here. So if we go 1 away on the other side, we have a third point now. And really you only need these 3 points to create that U shape. Okay, so then you connect it in a nice U shape, and you actually go through the points if you can. But there, you've graphed it. So just a quick summary. First, find the vertex. So find vertex. 2, plot the vertex. And axis of symmetry. So, and then once you do that, find another point, I should say. Another point, usually y-intercept. And then the last thing is to find symmetric point. Which, just go on the other side of the axis of symmetry. And then obviously connect them in the U shape. Okay. So just to point it out though, why I say usually the y-intercept is because if your vertex ends up being the y-intercept, we do need some other points. So there I would say substitute something easy like 1. It's probably your best choice. Okay. And something else to note, and this just kind of is always good to pay attention to, is here our a value is positive, and this graph faces up. If this a value is negative, our graph should face down. So that's kind of a check to make sure you're at least facing the right direction. It doesn't really tell us if your points are accurate, but it will at least tell us, hey, you have it facing the right way. All right, so that's it. And like I said, here's our little summary. This is a good thing to write down and take note of. So yeah, thanks for watching and have a good day.